what I'm seeing everybody I talk to, everybody that's stuck, when you really ask them, what are they trying to build? They're trying to build something amazing. They're trying to build a giant Winchester mystery house. Why? Because I have to have cool trim and statues and a lawn. I got to impress the neighbors. I got to impress my friends.
And
I got to
amaze and confuse people. And right.
And so it's like they come to us and they're like, hey, so my problem is this with the side of that and one of these and one of this.
Oh my God.
The analogy that I'm starting to build in my own self is like this Winchester mystery house. It's in the San Jose area. It's where I grew up, and I've been to it once or twice when I was a kid. I don't remember much of it.
I've always wanted to go to that. Yeah.
It's pretty non-eventful. Like,
I bet.
The Century's overrated. You're like, what the hell?
It's just stairs going into nothing.
That's the thing is like there's stairs that walk into the nowhere. They just walk up into the attic.
It's an any
into
house.
The wall.
This is an any. This is how I picture any. You know, like any is just like, haha, you thought you were going this way. Now you have to turn around and go back down.
So the story behind the Winchester mystery house is like it's from the Winchester rifle, and so the wife or whatever. I don't remember this from a long time.
Okay.
I should have looked this up before I recorded.
I do know about the rifle. Yeah.
Blast before consume. It's something along the effect of like she was feeling very guilty of all the souls that the gun has taken. You know, Winchester, 1800s, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And so she's built this house, and she keeps adding on weird random rooms for the ghosts of all the people that have died.
Okay.
And so I don't know how or why, but it went crazy where you would end up stairways that go into nowhere and corridors and doors that open into nothing, like all sorts of kind of weird shit. A lot of the house is not weird, but there's just some weird aspects of it. But the point is, it starts as a simple house.
Wow, my word.
It starts as a simple worldview. I was 12 years old. I was 18 years old. I was 24.
Okay.
And then this thing happened to me, so I compensated with this. And then this thing happened, so I built this. This happened, and I learned to be this way.
Right.
And so the person...
It's like Frankensteining.
So what I'm seeing in young people, because I'm watching it happen in real time, people of all ages, most of them, relatively young in their 20s, I'm seeing this more, and then I'm seeing the contrast of the people that have made it out. The people that have made it out have a very simple, tiny home. They have a very simple worldview, and their new worldview is done from the ground up in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, where they started over. That's the thing.
You have to demolish. You can't fix this.
That's the art of letting go. That's what I'm talking about. Is like the letting go is like everybody is walking around. And what I'm seeing is with these weird stories, weird add-ons, weird unconscious urges, weird defense mechanisms, weird things to make this right, and this injury, and this person, and this perception, and you're sitting on the phone just untangling just layer after layer after layer of shit, and nothing gets done.
No.
Because as soon as you're over here solving this problem, they're like, well, yeah, anyways, this over here.
Yes, I know.
You're like, okay, let's talk about that. Right. Well, why talk about that? Because this over here.
Right.
And it's just, I'm sure you've had these conversations with people.
Okay, so let me talk for 2 seconds. This is something that both you and I have dealt with our own selves, but when I finally started getting any traction at all, so I don't even have the simplified binary to the point where I want it, but when I started getting traction, it was, I have to go deep down, dark into the unconscious and start pulling out worldviews that I had to re-question. You have to like legitimately go back to everything that has been made a non-movable in your mind. Like, oh, that wall, not movable. Oh, that wall, not movable. There's like these worldviews that are just inputted into your mind that you don't even realize are there.
Yeah.
That's why you're getting so stuck, because this new thing can't make it past this old worldview that is super deep in your unconscious. You just don't even question that
Everyone's trying
anymore.
to fix the worldview, and that's the joke. You'll never get enough information.
Yeah.
You'll never get the magic answer. You'll never find the magic relationship. You'll never find the magic person, the magic job. Like those that make it out, it's like whether it's a collapse of like one room starts to collapse and then implodes down to the core room, or it's all at once where the whole thing burns down. It is something what you're talking about where it's a demolition of like, fuck this, fuck this, fuck this. I'm not going to solve these contradictions in my head anymore that are never ending.
Yeah.
I'm going to burn down the whole worldview and start over with something new. So I'm like, okay, so how does that happen? So I like typed in letting go, art of letting go. So I started kind of researching from the gurus that are like, that are more consciously in that mind space, because I feel like I'm just reinventing this. Like we should know more.
Yeah, other people have already spent their lives
somebody
on
that
it.
I found like just randomly did a really good video on it was Russell Brand.
Okay.
And so I grabbed some clips from his video. He's saying, it's okay to feel sad when you've lost someone. This is sad. It's okay to grieve.
Okay.
But self-pity, or like trying to he's talking in the context of like trying to like get your worldview to work.
Okay.
Where you're stuck in this zone of like, I'm trying to get my Winchester Mystery House brain to work and I'm stuck and I'm feeling sad and bad. It's a sovereign identification. Grief is a process. Self-pity is the destination.
Okay, one is an identity and one is a resolving.
Right.
Okay, so the resolving is, it's like you're taking the chemicals of sadness and you're riding the wave of sadness, but the self-pity is a identification with victim energy.
Yes.
And therefore it's non-movable.
Right.
And you don't ever want to like attach a chemical or a feeling to an identity.
Yeah.
Because then you make yourself non-movable
Yeah.
and stuck. Really.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because if something happens to your house, say your house, a car drives through it, that's sad. You lost a friend, you
see.
lost a room, you lost part of you. That's very sad, and it's a process of grieving, letting
Right.
go, and rebuilding, and then
Right.
you're back on your way. The Winchester Mystery House brain, it's a never-ending identity of I'm always worried about something. I'm always crying about something. I'm always feeling sad.
Wow.
I'm always trying to find answers to these contradictions. And it's identified over not a spell. Has this been going on longer than 3 months? Yes. Then you have Winchester Mystery House brain.
Right.
You're trying to resolve shit, but it's the identity of I am someone that's always trying to resolve shit.
Right, because what often happens is if you go back to resolve any of those things, you end up adding another room
Right.
instead of going back and actually re-questioning.
And
one
so
of the
everybody's lying to themselves, like, oh, I just have this one question. I just have this one issue. I just have this one boss. I just have this one thing.
I just need to build this one, whole area onto my house.
Track the last decade.
Yeah.
Your identity has fallen into this identity of I always have a thing.
Yeah, interesting.
And it's I think it's becoming more conscious of that and going, oh, I don't need to learn shit right now. Again, disclaimer alert coming from a Consume Last. I don't need to learn the next thing.
Right.
I need to really look at what have I been collecting over the years and bring those up to the conscious and go through the process of burning them down.
Yeah.
Which is not fast. It's not fun. It's not easy.
Well, it's
it's
very
hard
painful,
and
yeah.
painful. Yeah. Then he says, here's what you must do. You must help people that are worse off than you. Gives you the context.
Oh, God.
Then you can see the contrast and the abundance that you have.
So all he's saying is to change your perspective. When you change your perspective, immediately you are not feeling stuck. Because if you have identified with, I am stuck, I'm a victim, and then you now purposefully choose to get outside of that perspective of victim energy, and you're turning yourself into a different identity, which is now the helper and the carer of others, you can't be stuck in that one worldview. If you have that worldview of, I can't change any of the things that are going in my life, I'll just add another thing onto my Winchester house of how I'm stuck in one more area. It does simplify life so much when you're turning around and you're like, you know what? Focus off self, focus on others.
Self-pity is when it's gone too far. Self-pity and despair lead to self-destruction. There ain't nothing positive. It's okay to feel sad. I've lost someone has died. This is sad. It's okay to grieve when we are bereaved of a person, of a relationship, of a time or a place or a feeling or a need. Grief is healing, but self-pity is a sort of identification. Grief is a process. Self-pity is a destination. And self-pity is not a place that we can afford to long abide. If you are feeling self-pity, here is what you must do. You help people that are worse off than you. That's why I sometimes go to a homeless shelter or whatever. I don't do it enough. I should do it all the time if I wanted to be truly free. But when I go, I come back to my house and the abundance. Oh my God, a bowl of fruit. So much suffering, so much suffering. But if I go there and if I help, one, I think, oh, well, you're a worthwhile guy. You're trying to help other people. Don't be hard on yourself. Two, fuck me, you've got a lot to be grateful for. Gratitude, very important principle in overturning self-pity. Think of all the things you have. Recognize that we do not have a right to live the lives we live, granted all the things we've been granted. You know, there is comparison in self-pity. I'm sorry for myself, I should have this. Let go of should have. Of course, we are entitled to be treated well by people or whatever. But what I mean to say is get out of the destination of self-pity. Grieve if you need to grieve and be grateful for what you have, particularly if you want to be free of self-pity. Sometimes people don't want to be free of self-pity. It becomes the identity. I've been that person before. Thankfully, I'm not that person now.